Hello, welcome to GM Tips again. GM Rick, and you can tell I'm doing three of these in a row. One I had to break up into two, and this one I'm doing a little bit more with things because I still have the I Am Your Father shirt. Uh, so I'm going to broach a little bit interesting subject today, and I think we have to sometimes. And I know people hate this, and again, as GM, some of you that do not have the issues in the industry um, have less concern with this and are like, why are we even discussing it? Because unfortunately, in this day and age, in this world, as a father of two beautiful girls, you got to address subjects that sometimes are subject matters that we want to leave out of gaming, but are real life things that we just don't even want to address. Um, and I know some of you guys on the male side are going to roll your eyes at me and go, what the heck? Why am I listening to this? Why are you doing a GM tips on this? I don't want to hear it. Fine, then tune out if you choose to. I will say this before you tune out. I think you have to do a little self exploration too of why you tune out on such a subject. I think sometimes our orientation with our faith and our upbringing make us resistant to listening to stuff like this. We feel like, oh my gosh, are you going to beat another horse? Are you, and you're going to say this way, and forgive me to those of you that are this way. I'm not saying this in a negative way, but this is what gets said. You're a bleeding heart liberal, and you just have to go in the issues and discussions, and that's what comes up. This is not an issue of your political whatever leanings. It's not. It is a real issue in the industry. Sensitivity to our players is important. And I will say this in this way sensitivity to players is very important. And some people don't like it. And I will term it to this sensitivity to your players. Because if you don't look at it that way, and I'm writing the title down so I can have it at the end. If you don't, I see crutch word, hate crutch words. There's the other one. And sensitivity is important. When we design a campaign, when we run a campaign, it is important that we get to know our players and what is good for them and what is not good for them. Unfortunately, folks, life has damaged people, whether we want to or not. I was damaged at a very young age, twice, I believe. Once, definitely, I know of. Second, possible. And they were sexual damage, okay, by somebody that I didn't ask to do it to me. Some people are like, dang, that's pretty forward, Rick. Well, no, it just lays out the reality. You look at me and you see the happy GM, you see the guy that bounces around, you see the guy that is on topics and does great things, but you would never know the other unless I told you. But not everybody handles it that way. Our life forms who we are. It really does. Our upbringing and the events in it forms who we are. Some of us go through life very unscathed. Some of us get pre-programmed a certain way because of our families. Others get pre-programmed because of the environment we're in, or what we're taught, or what we look on the media, or what we're taught in school, or what our professors think, or what our teachers think. We are all programmed to think a certain way, unless we push back against that and try to be more open-minded. And each one is different in this. That's why getting to know your players is so important. Getting to know your players is a real key thing to me. Um, if you get to know your players, you get to know what bothers them, what's good for them, and I think we have to do this. Uh, I'm looking up and off on this because some of you are already cringing on this. It is okay for a GM to get to know their players. What is harmful for them, what is beneficial for them. We are making an environment that is about our players' stories. I keep going back to that as a GM. In order to know our players' stories and what we're going to teach with their characters as their stories, How they write their characters, how they do things, how they do their background is going to be colored by who they are and their experiences in life. Some people want to be social crusaders in a game because in life they're a social crusader and it's falling off into nothingness. And they're angry that they can do nothing there. But in the game, they can do something and they have control. As a GM, you have to look at that and say, can I create that environment for them? How will it affect the other players? Subjects like assault, rape, brutality, slavery. All these can be a part of your game campaign. Some subjects are more sensitive to others. A good friend of mine, his father was lynched by the KKK, hung and killed by the KKK. He is very sensitive to those issues, and he plays his characters in such that way. I can't tell him not to, because that is his forming things in life. He looks at life out of glasses that are shaded that way because he lost a loved one to this. And it's real, folks. You can't just sweep it under and say, leave it at the door. It does not work that way. Gaming does not work that way. We don't leave our baggage at the door. That's the funny thing. We say to do that as GMs, but we don't. We don't ever do that. The baggage comes with us. And in getting to know that, we can be more sensitive as GMs. I'm not saying go gaga on this. I'm just saying have a little more sensitivity in getting to know your players. Maybe not addressing the issues or working around the issues that are hot buttons. As I said to one person this morning, they were on a thread about Kingmaker, which is a venture path done in Pathfinder by Paizo. They adapted it to D&D. Their DM put it to D&D 5e. And they said, I didn't realize in Stolen Lands there was so much detail about rape. There is. It's a war. And some of those countries back in those times did such things. It's the history of our world, too. Where do you think these come from? The history of our world. And those subjects, especially to somebody who has been damaged by that, are real and are raw. And to bring up and have a session where that's in there could trigger things for your player that are not good. And you have to have some sensitivity. Now, they got to be open too. And players, this goes to you. You have to be, as best as you are able, real about what are bad events for you that are going to trigger you the wrong way and send you off the deep end. I had a player one time that was transsexual. Nice guy or girl. Whatever he wanted to call or she wanted to call himself. I wasn't for sure because I just didn't hit it too hard because each person in the trans world is very different on how they view things. I think they felt self-conscious in the game because the guys, I think, were trying to figure out, is this a guy that's a woman or a woman that's a guy? And that's hard. I got to say, it's hard for a trans player because in watching that player, I got to see the conflict. And I felt bad that they didn't come back. I truly did. I didn't want them to feel self-conscious. Yes, they were playing with some older players, with some younger players mixed in. And some of my players were a little more conscious of it. And I think made them feel weird. It's hard, folks, sometimes to find a group that's good for your players. That's why as a GM, we have to be conscious and cognizant of that. Second is designing a campaign in such a way that it doesn't go after the triggers. So design to avoid the triggers. And I know it's hard to do, but it's important. And I think, yes, you want to be true to the material and true to what you write and true to your world, but don't do it to the detriment of your players. For instance, a bunch of guys in a group. So there's 5 guys, 2 girls, or 2 women. And the guys are like, ooh, let's go to the bar. Let's go to the brothel. We're going to go. And the women aren't for it. But they're not saying anything. Now, there are some women that are like, yeah, I'm going in with you. Fine. Find out if that's a bad thing. And that's what you want to say to them. Are there any subjects that are no-no subjects? And those you try to leave out of your campaign. And maybe you say to the guys, well, you know what, guys, let's not go there. And you got to look at both sides and talk to both sides. And you're like, well, come on, Rick, that's now going to complicate my whole group. Well, welcome to society, folks. You live in a society that the gamers are men, women, lesbian, bi, gay, trans, polyamorous, um, cross dressing. It's reality. Fervently religious, fervently unreligious, anti theologian, pro theologian. This is real. And you can't avoid the subject by saying, we're just going to leave this out. Stop it. You GMs who do that, I'm going to give you a little bit of a soapbox for a minute. Stop it. You're the problem in this gaming community because you are so, nope, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. It's gaming, yes, it's a hobby, but hobbies unfortunately mirror the real world. So stop the see, hear, speak crap, okay? Stop it and address it. Because you're part of the reason these women and men and transsexuals and bisexuals and lesbians write the articles they do and post in groups because you refuse to deal with it. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe from me and move on. I am not going to be that person. I am not going to be that GM. I'm going to be the GM that is welcoming. Because gaming is about a community that welcomes all. Hear me? All. I'm not going on a soapbox. I'm not going on a tirade. I'm just saying that is the gaming community. It's what we should be. Geeks are geeks no matter what flag they fly under. Love your fellow geek. I'm serious. Even if it violates some of your faith views. And this is coming from a religious guy. And yes, if you haven't figured it out, I am a Christian. And I don't fly that flag because I don't want you guys to walk away from me saying, oh, Christian, no, I'm going to run from Rick. None of you would know it unless I would tell you because I don't act that way. There's a whole nother subject on that, okay? Quit it. To my religious brethren who game master this game, stop it. Stop using it as a form of intolerance because it's what you're doing, all right? Enough said, off the soapbox. Part of understanding our players is designing around those loopholes, okay? It is to make it fun for all. Third, accommodate for some of the things that are things they want to try and do. Because when we accommodate, now, again, you're going to have to talk to your players and see what they feel okay with. You don't want to violate somebody that is going to violate their things either. And maybe exploring subject themes that are wanted to be explored. The Iron Fang invasion kind of does that. Crystal Frazier explores some topics and takes things in such a way that allows you to fight the resistance, to be the resistance that fights the power that's coming in to fascistly oppress. In this case, hobgoblins. But it explores some themes that, you know, they want to accommodate and do that for. And that's fine if they feel okay with it. You just have to be really real about these things and kind of look at that and say what works and what doesn't. Getting a ton of text. Sorry, I got to look real quick. So Kim was saying for the chocolate factory, Bug wants to go see his chocolate factory. So here's the thing. We as a whole need to look at what's going on with our things. And we need to try to accommodate campaigns that sometimes will meet the needs of what players want to explore. But you can't do that in a way that then alienates others. I know it's a slippery slope, and so many GMs go, God, can I not just GM? Unfortunately, our world is not unmessy. It is messy, and it is real. And so is our gaming community. And we have to do some things like that. Again, I'm not asking you to violate your conscience. You have to feel secure in your own skin. I feel secure in my own skin that if we wanted to have a total lesbian campaign, I'm okay with it. If we wanted to have a total LGBTQ campaign with the orientation much more geared at that, and a male player flirting with another male NPC, I'm okay with that. And you're like, well, but that goes against your faith. No, it doesn't. Stop. I am secure in my own skin and my own beliefs that I'm okay with that. And as a GM, I'm able to be okay to explore such themes. I'm not asking to go way out in left field because I got a 6-year-old sitting here, okay? I don't want her, hearing all kinds of stuff she doesn't need to hear yet because she's 6 years old. But at the same time, I'm not going to avoid that topic either. You got to sit there for a little bit and ask yourself, why do you avoid the topics? Why do you avoid that exploration? What bothers you? And why does it bother you? Because as GMs, we should be open to a lot of things. What we're not open with, we just sit down and be honest with our characters. Hey, I know you want to explore this. I don't know if I'm the GM for you to do that. But don't every GM do that because then now they got nowhere to explore. Um, you don't want you don't want people to feel like they can't be themselves. Are you uncomfortable if your player is openly oriented as a male to males? Does that bother you? Does that really bother you? It doesn't. I've had enough people in my life that are from all different backgrounds that very little. The only thing that would bother me would be a pedophile. That would bother me, okay, because that's just wrong. Or a murderer. That's wrong. And by the laws of the land, okay, and by my conscience deeply there. But other than that, I don't care if a guy likes a guy or a woman likes a woman. So what? It's their life. Who am I to sit there and proselytize in my campaign? That's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to be accommodating, not pushing. Okay. Looking at different subjects matter in things. So maybe we're looking at slavery now. Slaving was very common back in the medieval cultures because they believed if I conquered you, how do I do it? I drive your resistance out by enslaving you to our values and our system of life. Perfect example, the Adventures of Sinbad, watching that with the war cultures and Magi. Those deal with a lot of themes that fall into that area and anti-magic versus pro-magic. Um, it shows the intolerance of these societies and I applaud the actors for addressing it. And in our campaigns, we can too. But sometimes certain things, like for instance, you don't have to be so colorful and vivid in the subject of slavery. You don't have to make it seem so dark that somebody who's has gone through it and their grandparents have gone through it and someone else, you don't want them reliving the horrors in their own life. It's not what you're wanting to do. And so sometimes you got to tone it down a little bit and really think about how does it impact? How does it affect? Um, the name calling slurs in a game. Don't do it. Slurs and stuff are not. That's a hard subject for anybody to broach, and it does. It affects you as a GM, and it affects your players, and you got to be real careful. Um, and I know I'm doing a lot of ums because I use my crutch words when I'm trying to sort through my thoughts on a subject, and I'm sorry for using them. I know it drives you crazy, but for me, I'm trying to really think it through. So when I put things here, I'm not running all over, ramping over you as a GM. And I know, some of you guys look at these things and go, "Why do you do them, Rick?" I think it's important. Um, what am I? So you guys are going to ask me, what am I? I'm a straight male, as you guys know from Kim. I'm dating a woman who's not fully straight. Okay. So what? Doesn't violate my conscience. Uh, I'm a dad. I'm religious, but yet I'm not dogmatic. I'm open minded to a lot of things, but at the same time, I'm not way overboard that I'm causing revolts in the street. I don't believe that gets it done either. So these all paint who I am, but it also helps me as a GM. Before, when I was growing up, when I was younger, I didn't know what I fully believed. I didn't know what I wanted to believe. Now I do. And I feel very okay with it. And the only time I get upset with somebody is if they're so closed minded that they can't see beyond their own tree. And that bothers me because I see how limited they are as a human being and how confined and how angry sometimes they get. You ever think about that? Maybe some of the anger that drives players and GMs is the fact that they are narrow in their thinking. And that may be the thing that irritates them the most is because their walls don't fit the reality of reality. And so it's confining and it's angering. Again, I know I'm hitting a lot of subjects. You're like, God, it's gaming. Why are you dealing with real world stuff? Because real world stuff doesn't go away because we game at a table. People are still who they are. I had a great guy that gamed with me, Cliff, and I love Cliff. He's like a brother to me. He really is. And I've got no issues with Cliff. I really don't. But when we debate sometimes, he and I get heated. And not in a bad way, just because I see how the world has colored him. He thinks everybody is against black Americans. He feels like the whole culture of America is against black Americans. He grew up Muslim, but he became Christian. Now he's kind of, I don't know, somewhere in between. And he's conflicted. He sees people that are the same color of his skin being damaged and hurt, and it has inflamed him. Yet in his sessions, he's so much fun and full of life and laughter and in curiosity, and he plays such rich characters. But outside of it, there's such a fear and anger inside of him that saddens me. But it doesn't make him any less a player. And he doesn't bring the baggage necessarily, but sometimes it comes out. And I understand that. It's hard to leave the world behind and go into a acting mode on the screen. It is hard to leave all that at the door. And yet, he's one of the most wonderful players I've played with. Funny, huh? Isn't that? How this doesn't always affect another, but maybe it does. Maybe it makes him who he is in the game because he sees such intolerance outside the game that he's playing what he wants the world to be in game. See? And that's where we as GMs can help them with that. Is it an escape from reality? Of course. All RPGs is escape from reality. But it doesn't mean reality doesn't build the framework of it either. There's a big difference in this, and it's a deep, watery concept. But I think as GMs, we have to sometimes sit back and look at this. And those of you that's watched this all the way through, I hope you see where I'm going with this. Some of you cut it off halfway in, and if you did, I hope you rewatch it and see the whole thing. I cover some deep subjects once in a while because I truly believe that it does affect us as game masters. I think we need more women GMs. I think we need more LGBTQ GMs. I think we need more religious and non-religious GMs. I think we need GMs that are more open-minded. That is a truth. Open-minded and open heart. Because I think we'll see so much more greater material come from it. Yes, sometimes the Paizo staff cranks me sideways. But I love them too because of what they produce. Yes, sometimes when I comment on their stuff, I probably should have kept my mouth shut in the first place. But they're going to find it out when they sit with me anyways. I really respect them. Adam Daigle, Crystal Frazier, go down the list. God, there's so many different ones that are there. Amanda Heyman Kuntz, James Jacobs, Jason Bowman, Eric Mona. I really appreciate each of them and what they pour into the works. They have made a more rich system by addressing the different issues, by having iconics that are different orientations and thinking. It has made the world more realistic, is Galarian. And some of you hate it for that reason. I don't. It opens it up so many can feel good about playing the game and not worry about discrimination or are there enough or sexualization or other things. They feel a freedom sometimes. And that's the way we should take it, folks, in this subject, is helping people to really enjoy it no matter what. And that's really what it comes down to. So I hope this GM Tips doesn't turn many of you off. It is trying to keep it open-minded, but at the same time, it's bringing it up in a way that hopefully is helping you to understand better why I address the things I do. I don't know if I'm your father. I'm your baby daddy. Oh my God, that's bad. Hit me. I went there. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry for doing that. Oh God, it's what happens when I get on too serious of a subject sometimes. I got to have a little laughter. But I thank you guys for watching and subscribing, and hopefully I'm helping many of you as GMs to be better GMs. That's my purpose in life. Um, to those that have gone before me, to the Satine Phoenixes, to the Pink Dice GM, to Matthew Mercer, to oh my gosh, I could go through Ask Ren, so many others. Steel, Empire Steel, and Magic with my buddy David O. Steele, and Amara, his daughter. To Chaotic Anarchy and her great things that she posts out there. To Akeisha, to oh my gosh, there's so many, you know, really good ones out there. Thank you for doing the GM tip videos and making them so great. Thank you for having a great community. We really do have many different thoughts and beliefs, but we all come together and have fun, don't we? All right. Thanks, folks. Have a great week.